G'day guys, so in today's little video what I'm going to do is just go through a few things that I tend to do and how we try and work out possibly where some of the gold is dropping out and just some little tips and tricks. So over here you should be able to see I've got a little River Sluice set up, and I'm going to go into some detail about setting that up and just to maximize the amount of flow, especially in some of the creeks at the moment that are either not running, so you can't obviously set up your river sluice, but the ones that are, that have only got a minimal amount of water, how to set that up. But yeah, this next little bit's going to be about possible ways how to check out where the gold's dropping out, so let's have a look at that. Alright, so what we're looking at here is obviously we're looking up the creek, the water's coming down, and you can see there's some rocks and the water's sort of moving around. You probably see some bubbles coming down the water. What I'm going to do now is just grab some gravels, and the next thing you're going to be seeing is that I'm going to try and get a bit of muddy sort of material, and I'm going to let that mud come down. We're going to see where the main sort of flow is, how it's possibly hugging around rocks, and I'll give you a few little looks at that and some close-ups and things in some different areas. Now obviously this is where the water's going at this height, and this is probably not enough water flow to move gold, but it's definitely gives you a little bit of a look how the water's acting around these obstacles. Alright, so I don't know how well that's going to show up, but you should have seen a line where it first started to come down, and then it obviously is going to spread out, but you can see mainly where the water's coming. I'll show you another spot with some other rocks and see what's going on there. Alright, this is looking at that same area that you have just seen, but looking at it as it's coming down, because I noticed something interesting happening and thought I better capture it. So I'm going to start sending a bit of muddy sort of water down, and let's see what happens. So a lot of people would go, oh, you could see the water come down and then hook around there. A lot of people would see that area there and go, oh, those rocks, possibly, even though there's some water flow going there, most of it is still heading down the creek. And then people will dig an area out like that going, oh yeah, it's going to hug in there, it's going to push it over there. These rocks are going to push all the water there, and it could be a dropout area. Not always the case. We'll have a look at some more little spots, and yeah, we'll see what comes up next. Alright, here's another little sort of spot. Now roughly around the centre-ish, more to the right, you'll see there's a little bit of foamy sort of material. And I don't know if you're going to be able to make out, but it's sort of spinning a little bit. So, you can see the main flow coming there from the left as it's going through those rocks. And a bit of bedrock on the left down the bottom, and then there's obviously some big rocks off to the right. Another rock up against the bank there. So I'm going to send some clay sort of material down again. We're going to see where the majority goes first and then where it sort of tapers off. So, what you've probably seen there is the main sort of flow where it come. Not sure if you've seen that foamy stuff spinning a little bit, but in high flow, obviously until it gets over those rocks, it will change a bit. And the other thing that's going on, we're not seeing everything that's going on under the water. So there's a lot of other factors. But by that flow coming through there, even when the creek is a foot or two higher, what's happening down low here with these rocks is still going to direct the gold in those areas. That's what you've got to understand. Obviously, yeah, when it's flooding up high, the gold's not floating on the surface. It's travelling along the creek bed. Unless, say, like there's a bank getting totally eroded away and then it could drop out in clumps and then float down the creek a little bit or make its way down the creek a bit further. But really, what's happening here now and what you're seeing and where that main flow is, when the creek's flowing hard, even though it's flowing hard and the inside bend might move a bit and the main flow might shift a little bit, in the ground, if some gold happens to be travelling down, it's going to get pushed by that bedrock and it's going to get slammed into there. And for whatever reason, if the gold hits that bank and just happens to knock it out of the ground, then there's possibly going to be some gold there. Take you up to one more spot where the creek's a little bit different, and we'll have a look and see what's going on there. Alright, so in this particular spot, we've got some rocks. It's a little bit shallower. Off to the left is a little bit of a hole where someone's dug. And you can see the creek sort of splitting off two ways. So towards the left is the outside bend. Towards the right is the inside bend. So I'll come up here with my little scoop and some gravels and we'll have a look and see what happens this time. So as we can see, there's a nice line. A lot of it is still going straight down, even though it looks like a lot of the flow is coming this way. There's still a lot of gold, or well, a lot of flow going straight down the creek rather than hooking off to this side. And the other thing that I'm seeing here is there's a lot of gravels dropping out. So, yep, we're looking at the creek, we're going, oh, it's all coming this way. The gold's going to all drop out here. A lot of it is actually still going to be dropping out this side. And it is the inside bend, and a lot of people will dig that inside bend. But, as you've seen, I'm not having to dig right in the inside bend. You've got to find that line in the creek, and that's what this is about. Trying to work out where that line is, because it's not only an inside bend, it's not only behind a large rock. A lot of things can happen. A tree can fall down, it can direct the water flow in a bit of a different direction, and when you turn up, that log, branch, tree, whatever it is, has shifted and moved down the creek, and that obstruction that was there, that was holding that gold, or making the gold drop out in that particular spot, has gone. So, like here, there could have been an obstruction and the gold might not be there, but more than likely it's probably going to be here, because I'm not seeing large trees or anything like that falling down. Alright, that's enough of the creek and water flow, but something that you can try. Next time you're at the creek, give this a crack and see what's going on. Might give you an idea of where that flow is. And I moved up the creek because I'm dirtying up the water and it's harder to see, and it's probably going to be a little bit difficult in the video. It's trying to capture this stuff in a video compared to seeing it live and seeing what's going on is one of those things. Now I'm going to go on into setting up a river sluice, and just so you get the best out of your river sluice and how you set it up, and what I tend to do a little bit. Alright guys, so setting up a river sluice. So there's some rocks here. Pretty much the majority of the water flow is coming through there on the center of the screen. Now, it doesn't really matter what sluice you've got. This will apply to all different types of sluices. The sluice that I'm using is my little 6-inch. It's an ROE sluice with the Dream mat. So the first thing I like to do is get my shovel and get a bit of material that's got a bit of clay in it. I'm going to throw that down. There's a good reason for it, because we want to make sure we get all that flow, and you've got to seal obviously the bottom, because you lose a lot of water underneath that sluice. So that's in place. Just going to throw a few more rocks in just to hold that sluice, because the last thing you want to do when setting up is lose that water flow. Looking at your sluice as well, I'll just point this down a little bit further. You want to have that water fairly even, and that it's coming out the bottom. You want that sluice fairly flat, but you want a bit of an angle. You should be able to see the crisscrosses coming through. The first thing I also like to do is just get a little bit of material and run it down the sluice. Make sure the water flow is good. Make sure it's going to clear the sluice as well. Now, what I need to do is just grab one more fold of material and throw it in front and really seal that bottom. Yeah, now that's fairly sealed. Pretty much nearly the whole flow of the creek. There's a little bit coming off there on the left, but most of the flow's coming through. The other thing you want to do is, I did that before, but you grab your material and throw it in. You can throw this in by hand, you can use a scoop, whatever tickles your fancy. Want to make sure the material there is active in the mat, especially in this mat. And I'll try and zoom in for you so that you can see that the gravels there are agitating. You can see they're dancing. Obviously, gravels as well need to be screened down. I think it's about 8 mesh that they say to you to have for the dream mat. And we'll just feed a little bit in. Let it do its job. Give it a chance to clear out a bit. You should be able to see that we've got those dancing gravels. Alright. Look, hope that helps you out a little bit in setting up a river sluice. I'm just going to run this and I'll show you a little bit of colour at the end, maybe. Alright, so I've just let the sluice just sit here and clear out a bit. Now I'm going to try and take these in and see if we can see some gold. I'm seeing one little piece there, and there's another one there as well. So one to the left, one more towards the centre. There's another little bit there at the top of the cell that you can see. So hopefully I'm showing you a few specks of gold besides those couple that I see already. Alright, so got my pan all ready and set up. Time to lift this river sluice out. And I'll just go through what I do. Pick it up at the front, reduces the flow, and that way your gold shouldn't migrate down the mat. Take the mat out. Tend to get the start of the mat and just chuck that in there first. Wash the sluice down for any material that's sort of got it in between, and then you grab your mat. And clean it out, just make sure there's no little bits of clay or anything stuck in there. And that's it. Alright. There's not a lot of concentrates, as you can see. A few little shakes. Get the majority, a lot of the silt and stuff out of there. Give it a bit of a shake, and then easiest way is if we pan back in the pan, that way we know we're not panning any gold out of the creek, or into the creek I should say. And then you can take this stuff home as well and repan it if you wanted to. Oh, I'm just scraping back all those gravels. You can turn the pan this way to these finer gravels, do the same thing, agitate it. With the little grooves, if there's gold that's going to start heading out the pan, it should hopefully get caught in those little grooves. And no, there was nothing. Alright, show you the gold. Just so you get to see some. That back around, this is what happens when you've got wet fingers on your phone. There we go. A few little bits of gold. Alright, hope you've enjoyed this one. I thought I'd put it out there, seeing as creeks have started to flow. Gives you some ideas about what's going on. And yeah, setting up the sluice. And just some little tips and tricks about trying to read the creek and where the gold's actually dropping out. Till the next time, guys. Catch you all later.